In the days when Rome was still finding its soul, power came not through birthright alone, but through boldness, cunning, and blood. From across the sea came a man, not Roman by origin, but Roman by ambition, a foreigner, a kingmaker, a dreamer, and for some, a tyrant. This is the story of Lucius Tarquinius Priscus, the fifth king of Rome, a man who built the foundations of Roman greatness, and whose legacy would shape the eternal city for centuries to come. But behind the grandeur lies a tale of manipulation, political theatre, and murder. Lucius Tarquinius Priscus was not born in Rome. He wasn't even Latin. He came from the rich Etruscan city of Tarquinii, nestled in the hills of what is now Tuscany. His father was a Greek immigrant named Demaratus of Corinth, who had fled political strife in Greece and established himself as a wealthy merchant and nobleman among the Etruscans. From his father, Tarquin inherited ambition and a foreign name. From his Etruscan upbringing, he gained education, wealth, and the art of statecraft. But in Etruria, he found limits. As a man of mixed heritage, barred from the highest offices, he saw a ceiling. So he turned his eyes to Rome. The city was still young, raw, disunified, ambitious. And it was a place where with enough gold and guile a clever man could rise. With his wife Tanaquil, a woman of aristocratic Etruscan stock and sharp political instincts, he moved south to Rome, bringing his wealth, retainers, and vision with him. Tarquinius arrived in Rome during the reign of Ancus Marcius, the fourth king. He quickly became a friend and advisor to the king, gaining favor through his charm, intellect, and generous public spending. According to legend, it was Tanaquil who first saw her husband's destiny written in the heavens. As the story goes, an eagle once swooped down, took Tarquin's cap, then returned it to his head, a divine omen interpreted by Tanaquil as proof that greatness awaited him. Ancus Marcius, perhaps sensing Tarquin's talents, or his threat, did not cast him aside. Instead, he appointed him guardian to his sons and made him a close ally. But when Ancus died, Tarquin moved swiftly. Rather than let the rightful heirs ascend, Tarquin staged a masterclass in political theatre. He delivered a eulogy for Ancus before the public could react, summoned the Senate, and had himself proclaimed king before the sons of Ancus could even rally support. The people, impressed by his leadership and gifts, approved. And so a foreigner sat on Rome's throne, not by blood, but by strategy. Tarquinius Priscus reigned for 38 years, and in that time, he transformed the fabric of Rome itself. He was the first of the Roman kings to truly envision the city as a capital worthy of an empire. He doubled the number of senators, drawing in new families and bolstering royal support. He expanded the cavalry, giving Rome greater military flexibility. He led successful campaigns against the Sabines, Latins, and Etruscans, bringing wealth and slaves to Rome and consolidating its power. But it was his urban projects that left the deepest mark. Tarquinius began the Circus Maximus, a massive stadium for chariot races and games that would become Rome's beating cultural heart. He started construction on Rome's first sewer, the Cloaca Maxima, to drain the marshlands between the hills and make way for real city infrastructure. And most symbolically, he laid the foundations for the Temple of Jupiter, Optimus Maximus, on the Capitoline Hill, Rome's holiest site, dedicated to the king of the gods. This was not just a religious act, it was a statement. Rome would rival the gods in grandeur. He wore the purple robe, wielded the fasces, and conducted court in the Etruscan style, introducing royal pomp and ceremony that Romans would both adopt and one day reject. Tarquinius wasn't just building monuments, he was building a monarchy in style and substance. For all his achievements, Tarquin's throne was never entirely secure. The sons of Ancus Marcius, passed over and humiliated, never forgot their stolen birthright. As Tarquin grew older, they saw their chance. One day, as the king was overseeing state matters, assassins struck. They used axes hidden in shepherds' cloaks, a grim echo of the royal fasces, and struck Tarquin down in public. Rome reeled, but Tanaquil acted swiftly. Before news could spread, she sealed the palace, declared that the king was only wounded, and installed their adopted son, Servius Tullius, as regent. She bought time with illusion. And within days, Servius had assumed royal powers in all but name. By the time Tarquin's death was confirmed, Rome had already moved on. The conspirators had failed to spark an uprising. Tarquinius Priscus was dead, but the dynasty he had begun was not. Tarquinius Priscus was more than just a builder or a foreigner king. He was the architect of Rome's coming grandeur. He laid the physical and institutional foundations of a city that would one day rule the Mediterranean. But his reign also introduced the Etruscan model of monarchy, with its symbols, regalia, and aloof power. This style would sow the seeds of discontent and set in motion the tension between king and senate, ruler and people, that would explode in future generations. His descendants would rise even higher and fall even harder. His possibly adopted son, Servius Tullius, would rule as the sixth king, and his grandson, Tarquinius Superbus, would become the last king of Rome. Together, the Tarquins would leave a legacy so powerful and so feared that Romans would banish kingship itself. But it began with Lucius Tarquinius Priscus, the foreigner who became the king who built Rome, and the ambition that would ignite a republic. In the fog of legend and the fragments of history, we see a man not born to rule, but who ruled anyway. Lucius Tarquinius Priscus turned stones into monuments, rituals into politics, and dreams into policy. But in Rome, ambition is always a double-edged sword. The crown he wore was not his by right. It was seized, crafted, forced into being, and that crown, once stained with blood, would one day bring kingship itself to ruin. Subscribe to Pathways to Destruction for more deep dives into the rulers, wars, and betrayals that shaped the ancient world. What do you think? Was Tarquinius a visionary who gave Rome its future, or a usurper who set the stage for tyranny? Let us know in the comments.